My name is Commander Ryan Cole, and I was the last person standing between humanity and complete destruction. For 30 years, I served in the human defense fleet, watching the galaxy change around us. I saw powerful alien kingdoms rise, I saw great civilizations fall, and I learned one important truth. The universe does not respect the weak. For many years, humans were considered a young and small species compared to the ancient races that ruled the stars. The aliens believed we were too emotional, too peaceful, and too afraid of war. They laughed at our small fleets and ignored our warnings. They never understood that humans did not avoid war because we were weak. We avoided war because we knew exactly how terrible it could become. But everything changed on the day the alien Armada entered human space. It started as a simple message. Every human planet received the same transmission at the exact same time. A cold alien voice spoke across every communication channel. Humanity, your time is over. Your territory now belongs to the Varkon Empire. Surrender your planets, your resources, and your technology, or face destruction. When I heard those words, I was standing on the bridge of the HFS Titan, the oldest active human battleship. Around me, thousands of officers watched the massive enemy fleet, moving toward our borders. Their numbers were impossible to believe. More than 50,000 alien warships filled the darkness of space. Their ships were larger, their weapons were stronger, and their army had destroyed dozens of civilizations before reaching us. Every officer on my bridge knew the truth. We were outnumbered, we were outgunned, and according to every calculation, we had no chance. The alien commander appeared on my screen. He was a tall creature with silver armor and cold blue eyes. "Commander Ryan Cole," he said with a confident voice, "I know you humans are proud, but pride will not save you. Your species has only survived because stronger civilizations ignored you. Now, you have been noticed." I looked at him and stayed silent. He expected fear. He expected me to beg. But he did not know humans. He did not know what happens when someone threatens our homes. "You made one mistake," I finally replied. "The alien." Commander smiled. "And what mistake is that?" I looked at the endless enemy fleet outside my window. "You came too close to Earth." The alien laughed. "Earth? Your little planet cannot stop us." I ended the communication and looked at my crew. They were scared, but they were still standing. That was the difference between humans and many other species. Fear was something we felt, but it was never something that controlled us. For years, humanity had hidden its true strength. The galaxy thought our military was small because we showed them only what we wanted them to see. They never knew about the secret projects hidden deep inside our solar system. They never knew about the ships sleeping beneath the surface of abandoned moons. They never knew about the soldiers who had trained for a war nobody believed would happen. But now, that war had arrived. The alien fleet moved closer, preparing for the final attack. Every human world waited for the end, but then something happened that changed everything. A signal appeared on my screen. It was an old code, a code that had not been used for 20 years. My heart stopped for a moment when I saw the message. "The silent fleet has returned." I quickly opened the transmission and my eyes widened. Behind the alien Armada, thousands of human ships appeared from hyperspace. They were massive, powerful, and unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The alien commander received the same image. For the first time, his confident expression disappeared. His voice became quiet. "No, this is impossible." His officers looked confused. "Commander, what are those ships?" he asked. The alien commander stared at the human fleet approaching from the darkness. Then he whispered words that would later become famous across the galaxy. "Those ships were destroyed decades ago. Humanity was never supposed to have a fleet like this." And in that moment, the alien Armada finally understood something they should have learned before entering human space. They had not found a weak species, they had awakened a sleeping giant. I watched the alien Armada freeze in space as the hidden human fleet moved into position behind them. For the first time since they entered our territory, the enemy ships stopped advancing. They did not attack. They did not send another threat. They simply watched. From the bridge of the HFS Titan, I could see thousands of human warships surrounding the Varkon fleet. These were not ordinary ships. They were the ships humanity had built in silence, while the galaxy believed we were weak. Their armor was darker than the empty space around them, and their engines moved with a power that made even the enemy sensors struggle to understand them. My crew looked at the screen with a mixture of surprise and hope. Many of them had never seen the silent fleet before. They had only heard stories, legends about ships that disappeared 20 years ago and soldiers who trained for a war that everyone thought would never come. The alien commander finally opened a communication channel again. This time his voice was different. The confidence was gone. "Commander Ryan Cole," he said slowly, "explain these ships." I looked at the alien officer who had arrived expecting an easy victory. "These are human ships," I replied. "The same species you called weak." The alien commander became angry. "Your fleet numbers are impossible. Our intelligence report said humanity had only a few hundred outdated vessels." I smiled. "Your intelligence was correct. We wanted it to be." The alien commander remained silent. He finally understood that every piece of information his empire had about humanity was incomplete. For decades, humans had allowed the galaxy to believe we were behind. We allowed them to think our technology was simple and our armies were small. Because sometimes the best weapon is letting your enemy underestimate you. The Varkon Empire had destroyed countless civilizations because they always believed they knew everything about their enemies. They studied their weapons, their planets, and their weaknesses, but they never studied their own mistake. They never studied humanity's ability to adapt. Suddenly, the alien fleet moved again. Their largest warships powered up their weapons. Thousands of energy cannons pointed toward us. The alien commander had made his decision. "Destroy the human fleet," he ordered. "Do not allow them to spread fear across the galaxy." I watched the enemy ships prepare for battle. Many people would think that moment was frightening, but I felt something else. I felt calm, because this was the moment humanity had prepared for. "All ships," I said through the command channel. "This is the battle we hoped would never happen. But if it must happen, we will make sure they remember it." The human fleet moved forward. The first wave of alien weapons fired. Millions of energy beams crossed the darkness of space and hit our ships. The Varkon commanders waited for the explosions. They expected our fleet to disappear, but nothing happened. Their weapons hit our shields and vanished like rain against a mountain. Confusion spread across their fleet. "Impossible!" one alien officer shouted. "Their shields should have failed." The alien commander stared at his screen. He could not understand what he was seeing. The truth was simple. Humanity had spent 20 years preparing for this exact moment. We had studied every battle fought across the galaxy. We learned from every victory and every defeat. We did not build weapons to conquer others. We built them to make sure nobody could ever destroy us again. Our ships moved closer, not randomly, not with anger. Every movement was calculated. Every attack had a purpose. The alien fleet tried different strategies, but nothing worked. They had fought species that depended on numbers. They had fought species that depended on technology. But they had never fought a species that combined both with something even more dangerous: determination. I watched enemy ships fall one by one, but I knew this was not the end. The Varkon Empire was too proud to surrender. Their commander was desperate to prove that humans were still weak. Suddenly, a message arrived from their flagship. "Commander Ryan Cole," the alien said, "you believe you have won because you surprised us, but you have only delayed your destruction." I looked at his face. There was anger in his eyes, but behind that anger was something new: fear. "You still do not understand," I replied. "You came here, thinking you were hunting us. I looked at the massive human fleet around me, but you were never the hunter." The alien commander said nothing. Then his officers detected something strange coming from their ancient archives, a forgotten warning from their ancestors, a warning that had been hidden for centuries. The message appeared on every Varkon ship. Only a few words were written: "If humanity ever builds a fleet again, do not fight them, run." The alien commander stared at the message in complete silence. For the first time in hundreds of years, the Varkon Empire felt something they had never expected to feel: fear of humans. And as the battle continued, the galaxy began to ask one question: what had humanity been hiding all this time? I never wanted the galaxy to see what humanity was truly capable of. For many years, we believed that keeping our strength hidden was the only way to protect our future. But now, the Varkon Empire had forced us to reveal the truth. As I stood on the bridge of the HFS Titan, watching thousands of enemy ships trying to understand our movements, I knew this battle was no longer just about survival. It was about showing the galaxy who we really were. The Varkon commander continued to send messages, demanding answers. He wanted to know how a species they considered weak had created a fleet that could challenge the strongest empire in the galaxy. He wanted to know why our technology was far beyond their reports. But the truth was not found in our weapons. The truth was found in our history, a history that most alien civilizations never knew. Hundreds of years ago, humanity was not powerful. We were explorers, scientists and builders. We traveled into space with dreams of discovering new worlds. We believed the universe was a place where different species could live together. But then we learned a painful lesson. Not every civilization wanted peace. Our first encounter with an alien empire almost ended humanity forever. They saw our kindness as weakness. They attacked our colonies, destroyed our cities, and believed humans would surrender. But they made the same mistake the Varkon Empire made. They underestimated us. Humans survived because we adapted. Every attack made us smarter. Every loss made us stronger. We learned that survival was not about having the biggest army or the strongest weapons. Survival was about never giving up. After that war, Earth leaders made a difficult decision. We would hide our true abilities. We would show the galaxy a peaceful humanity while secretly preparing for any future threat. The Silent Fleet was born from that decision. The ships were built in secret locations far away from normal space routes. The best engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked for decades without receiving any recognition. They knew they might never see the day when their creations were needed, but they continued because they believed someone had to protect the future. And now, that future was standing behind me. The Varkon Empire finally understood that they had attacked a species that had survived the impossible. Their ships continued firing, but their confidence was gone. They were no longer fighting a small human defense fleet. They were fighting a civilization that had spent centuries learning how to survive. Suddenly, I received a request for a direct communication from the Varkon commander. I accepted. His face appeared on my screen, but he looked different from before. The arrogance was gone. "Commander Ryan Cole," he said, "why did your species hide this power?" I looked at him for a moment before answering. "Because we know what happens when powerful people believe they cannot be stopped." The alien commander remained silent. "Your empire has destroyed worlds because you believed strength gave you the right to control others. Humanity learned a different lesson. Strength is not about controlling the weak. Strength is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves." The alien commander looked away. For the first time he had no answer. But not every Varkon officer accepted the truth. Their generals were angry. They believed surrender would make their empire look weak. One of them ordered their remaining ships to prepare their most dangerous weapon, a weapon they had never used before, their final attack system. My sensors detected a massive energy buildup from their largest battleship. My officers looked at me with concern. "Commander, if they fire that weapon, it could destroy an entire planet." I watched the enemy flagship glowing with deadly energy. The battle was changing. The Varkon Empire had realized they could not defeat us with normal weapons, so now they were preparing something much worse. I gave my orders immediately. "All human ships, prepare for emergency formation." The fleet moved into position. The galaxy watched as the two largest forces ever seen prepared for the next moment. The Varkon commander looked at the human fleet and activated his final weapon. A bright light appeared in the darkness of space. Their ultimate attack was ready. But they did not know one thing. Humanity had faced extinction before, and every time we faced the end, we found a way to survive. The weapon fired. A wave of energy rushed toward Earth. Millions of lives depended on what happened next, And as I watched that unstoppable force move closer, I realized this was the moment that would decide the future of humanity forever. I watched the enemy weapon travel through space like a moving star of destruction. Every sensor on my ship was screaming. The energy level was beyond anything we had ever recorded. If that attack reached Earth, billions of people would die in seconds. Behind me, my crew stood silent. Everyone knew the danger. Everyone knew what was at risk. But nobody moved, nobody ran. That was the thing about humans. We could feel fear, but we never allowed fear to control us. I looked at the approaching energy wave and remembered all the people who trusted us to protect them. I remembered the children on Earth who looked at the stars and dreamed of exploring them. I remembered the soldiers who gave their lives so humanity could have a future. Then I made my decision. "Activate the Guardian formation," I ordered. My officers looked shocked. "Commander, that system has never been tested in real combat." I looked at them and said, "Then today will be the first time it saves us." Across space, the silent fleet changed formation. Thousands of human ships moved together with perfect timing. From a distance, it looked like the entire fleet had become one giant shield. The alien commanders watched in confusion. They expected our ships to escape. They expected us to hide. But humans did something they did not understand. We moved toward danger. The enemy weapon reached the first line of our fleet. A massive explosion covered the darkness of space. For a few seconds, nobody knew what happened. The Varkon Empire celebrated, believing humanity had finally fallen. Their commander smiled for the first time in hours. "The human fleet is destroyed," he announced. But then something appeared through the energy storm. The human ships were still there, damaged but standing. The Guardian formation had absorbed most of the attack. The alien commander stared at his screen in disbelief. "How?" he whispered. "How can they still be alive?" His officers had no answer, because they still did not understand humanity. They saw our ships, they saw our weapons, but they did not see the reason behind them. Every human invention was created because someone wanted to protect another person. Our technology was not built from greed. It was built from survival, sacrifice, and hope. I opened a communication channel to the entire Varkon fleet. "Your strongest weapon has failed," I said. "You entered human space believing we were an easy target. You believed our peaceful nature was weakness. But peace is not the absence of strength. Peace is the choice to control that strength." The enemy fleet became silent. For the first time, thousands of alien soldiers heard the truth about humanity. But the Varkon generals refused to accept defeat. Their pride was stronger than their fear. Their remaining ships launched one final attack toward our fleet. They charged directly at us, hoping to destroy as many human ships as possible before they fell. I looked at the enemy movement and gave my final order. "Do not destroy them all. Show them who we are." My fleet moved forward, but instead of attacking with anger, we used precision. We disabled their weapons. We stopped their engines. We gave them a chance to survive. The aliens could not understand it. They had conquered civilizations that begged for mercy. They had destroyed enemies who showed weakness. But humans showed something different. We showed mercy even after victory. The battle lasted several more hours. One by one, the Varkon ships stopped fighting. Their massive armada, which had entered human space with confidence, was now floating silently among the stars. The galaxy watched in complete shock. The same empire that had destroyed countless worlds had been defeated by a species they called primitive. But the biggest surprise came from the Varkon flagship. Their commander sent one final message. His voice was quiet. "Commander Ryan Cole, we understand now." I looked at the screen. "Understand what?" He looked at the human fleet surrounding his ships. "We thought humans were dangerous because of your weapons. We were wrong." He paused. "Humans are dangerous because you never stop fighting for what you believe in." I said nothing, because he was finally seeing the truth. Humanity was not powerful because we wanted to rule the galaxy. We were powerful because we refused to let anyone destroy our home. But just as the battle ended, my sensors detected something strange coming from deep space, a signal that was not from the Varkon Empire. a signal older than any civilization we knew. My officers looked at me with fear. "Commander, someone else is out there." I stared at the unknown message appearing on my screen. Only one sentence appeared. "The humans have awakened. Now prepare for the real war." And at that moment I realized the Varkon Armada was not the greatest threat waiting for humanity. It was only the beginning. I stared at the mysterious message on my screen, unable to move for several seconds. The battle with the Varkon Armada was over, but something much bigger had just begun. The signal came from a region of space that had been empty for thousands of years. No civilization had ever explored that area. No ship had ever returned from there. The message was simple, but the meaning behind it was terrifying. "The humans have awakened. Now prepare for the real war." My officers looked at me, waiting for my command. Everyone wanted answers. Who sent this message? Why did they know about humanity? And why did they sound like they had been waiting for us? Before I could respond, another message arrived. This time, it was from the Varkon flagship. Their commander requested a meeting. A few hours earlier, he had entered our space as an enemy. Now he was asking for a conversation. I accepted his request. When his image appeared on my screen, I saw a completely different person. The pride and confidence were gone. The alien commander looked tired, almost defeated. "Commander Ryan Cole," he said, "I owe your species an apology." I remained silent. I wanted to hear what he had to say. For hundreds of years, my empire believed strength was the only path to survival. We conquered worlds because we thought fear created control. But today I saw something I never saw before. He looked toward the human ships outside his window. "I saw a civilization with enough power to destroy us, but you chose not to." I looked at him and replied, "Power is easy to gain. Control is what makes someone truly strong." The alien commander lowered his head. "Now I understand why our ancestors warned us about humans." That statement caught my attention. "Your ancestors knew about us?" I asked. He hesitated before answering. "Yes. Long before my empire became powerful, there were stories about a species from a distant world, a species that survived impossible disasters, a species that could lose everything and still rebuild." He looked directly at me. "Those stories were about humans." For years, the galaxy had forgotten our history. They only saw the humans of today. They never knew about the battles we survived. They never knew about the sacrifices that built our civilization. They never knew that humanity was not created by comfort. Humanity was created by challenges. After the war, the news spread across the galaxy. Every civilization learned what happened in human space. The unstoppable Varkon Armada had entered our territory and failed. The galaxy that once ignored us now watched us carefully. Some feared us, some respected us, some wanted to become our allies. But I knew something important. Fear was not the future we wanted. We did not want other species to look at Earth and see a threat. We wanted them to see a partner. A few days later, representatives from many alien civilizations arrived near Earth. They expected to meet warriors. They expected to see a dangerous military power. Instead, they saw cities, families, scientists, and ordinary people living normal lives. One alien ambassador looked at me and asked, "How can a species capable of creating such powerful weapons live so peacefully?" I answered, "Because we know what those weapons can do. We know the cost of war." The ambassador remained silent. He finally understood something that many others failed to understand. Humanity did not become strong because we loved fighting. We became strong because we loved surviving. But while the galaxy was learning the truth about us, the unknown signal continued to repeat. Every day, the same message appeared. The humans have awakened. Our scientists worked day and night trying to decode it. Then, after several weeks, they discovered something impossible. The signal was not a warning. It was an invitation. Someone was calling humanity to a place beyond known space, a place where an ancient civilization had been waiting for our return. When I saw the final coordinates, my heart became heavy. The location was beyond the edge of the galaxy, a place where no human ship had ever traveled, a place that could hold answers about our forgotten past. But before we could leave, another message arrived. This one was different. It was not from the unknown civilization. It was a warning from deep space. Do not follow the signal. They are not calling you, they are calling your enemy. I looked at the message and felt a cold feeling inside me. The Varkon Armada had been a battle, but now we were facing something much older, something that knew our history, something that had been waiting for humanity to return. And for the first time since the war began, I wondered if the galaxy was afraid of humans, or if humans should be afraid of what was coming next. I looked at the final warning message on my screen and felt a heavy silence fall over the bridge of the HFS Titan. For the first time in many years, I did not know what was waiting for us. The Varkon Armada had been powerful, but they were not the true enemy. They were only a small piece of a much larger story. Something ancient had been watching humanity for thousands of years, something that knew our past and understood our potential. But one thing was different now. Humanity was no longer alone. After the battle with the Varkon Empire, many alien civilizations that once feared us decided to stand beside us. They had seen what humanity could do when pushed into a corner. They had seen our strength, but more importantly, they had seen our mercy. The Varkon commander himself joined our mission. The same leader who entered human space with thousands of warships was now standing with us as an ally. Before we left for the unknown region of space, he came aboard my ship. He looked around the human battleship and said, "I spent my entire life believing humans were dangerous because of your power. Now I understand I was wrong." I looked at him. "Then what makes humans dangerous?" He looked toward the stars outside the window and answered, "Your ability to keep fighting even when everything tells you to stop." His words stayed in my mind, because that was the true story of humanity. We were never the strongest species in the galaxy. We were never the oldest. We were never the most advanced. But we were the species that refused to disappear. Our fleet traveled beyond known space, following the mysterious signal. Thousands of human and alien ships moved together for the first time in history, a sight that would have been impossible only weeks before. Enemies became allies. Fear became respect. And the galaxy finally understood one simple truth. Humanity was not looking for a throne. We were looking for a future. After many days of travel, we reached the source of the signal. What we found shocked every scientist on every ship. A massive structure was floating in the darkness of space. It was larger than any planet, older than any civilization we knew. The ancient station was silent, but somehow it was still alive. As we approached, the doors opened by themselves. A message appeared across every communication system. "Welcome back, humanity." My entire crew became silent. Welcome back. Those words made no sense. We had never been there before. I entered the station with a small team. Inside, we found technology beyond anything we had ever imagined. But the greatest discovery was not the technology. It was the history. The station contained records from thousands of years ago, records about the first humans who left Earth long before our modern civilization began. They were explorers who traveled deeper into the universe than anyone knew. They discovered incredible secrets, but they also discovered a terrible danger, a powerful civilization that wanted control over all life in the galaxy. To protect the future, those ancient humans disappeared and left behind warnings. They knew one day humanity would become strong enough to face that enemy. They knew one day we would return. Suddenly, the station activated a final message from our ancestors. A human voice filled the room. "If you are hearing this, then humanity has survived. You have faced fear, war, and destruction. Remember this. Your greatest strength was never your weapons. Your greatest strength was your ability to stand together." I felt a strange emotion hearing those words. For generations, humans had believed we were alone in the universe, but we were never alone. We were part of a much bigger story. Then the station detected something approaching. A massive fleet appeared at the edge of the system. The same unknown enemy that had sent the warning message had arrived. Their ships were larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Even the Varkon commander looked afraid. "I have studied every empire in existence," he said quietly. "I have never seen anything like this." I looked at the approaching fleet. Years ago, humanity would have been afraid. Years ago, we would have believed we had no chance. But we were not the same species anymore. We had survived, we had learned, and now we had allies. I opened a channel to every ship in our fleet. Today, we are not fighting as humans, Varkons, or any other species. Today, we fight as one galaxy. The combined fleet moved forward. The enemy expected to see fear. Instead, they saw determination. The final battle began. The darkness of space was filled with lights, energy, and thousands of ships fighting together. Every civilization brought something different. The Varkons brought their powerful weapons. Other species brought advanced technology, and humans brought something no one else had: the will to continue. The battle lasted for days. We lost many ships, we lost many brave soldiers, but we never broke. Every time the enemy pushed us back, we returned stronger. Every time they thought we were finished, we proved them wrong. In the final moment, I stood on the bridge of the HFS Titan as our fleet prepared one final attack. I looked at the stars and remembered the first day the Varkon Armada entered human space. They came believing they were unstoppable. They came believing humanity was weak. But they learned the truth. Humans were never dangerous because we wanted war. Humans were dangerous because when someone threatened our home, our families, and our future, we became something impossible to defeat. The final attack succeeded. The enemy fleet collapsed. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The war was over. The civilizations that once ignored humanity now respected us. Years later, historians would write about the day the alien Armada entered human space and made the biggest mistake in history. They would write about the human fleet, the impossible victory, and the alliance that changed the galaxy forever. But I would always remember something different. I would remember the moment when our enemies finally understood who we were. We were not conquerors. We were not destroyers. We were survivors. We were explorers. We were protectors. I am Commander Ryan Cole of the Human Defense Fleet. And this is the story of the day the galaxy learned one final lesson. Never judge humanity by the peace we show. Judge us by what we become when that peace is threatened. The biggest lesson from this story is that true strength is not about having the biggest weapons or the most powerful army. True strength comes from courage, unity, and the ability to protect what matters. Humanity was respected not because it wanted to control the galaxy, but because it chose hope over fear and peace over destruction. This story teaches us that we should never underestimate anyone. A person, a nation, or a civilization may look small today, but with determination, learning, and teamwork, they can achieve the impossible. Sometimes the greatest power is not the ability to destroy enemies, but the wisdom to choose when not to fight. Remember, the strongest people are not those who never face challenges. They are the ones who keep standing when everything seems impossible.